This is the Nurses Doing GAMSAT podcast, brought to you by Thankfully GAMSAT. We're here to teach you how to smash the GAMSAT, get into medicine, and become a flippin' great doctor. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Nurses Doing GAMSAT. I'm super excited. I'm joined by two very special guests today. One is Bella. She is one of our study mentors that is part of Thankfully Bootcamp. We're very excited to have her. If you have not met Bella before or seen what she does, she's one of our Section 2 tutors, but she's in a really special role, which is that of the study mentor. So the study mentor's job is to get our students doing what they need to do when they need to do it. Because it's all well and good that we help students create like a personalized plan, but if you're not doing the plan, like, what's the bloody point of having it? So her job is a lot around accountability, helping people to troubleshoot where they are, not just from a mindset perspective, sometimes from like a technical perspective. So welcome, Bella. We're super excited to have you today.
Thank you so much for having me.
I have two special guests. Bella is guest number one, and guest number two is my cat, Gracie, who I'm very hoping will just be quietly in the background and not sneeze too much. But if we hear a random sneeze, you know what it is, right? And maybe she'll walk across the camera and we'll just see. So today, the reason why I have Bella here is that we want to talk about some of the mindset blockages to overcome for GAMSAT success, because, you know, there are so many things that go into actually getting better at the GAMSAT. Most people are just thinking about what is the, you know, the Section 2 strategy or the Section 3 reasoning skills or whatever. But there are so many other blockages that are people, like, particularly at this time of the year, they're coming up against. So I wanted to kind of have a bit of a conversational chat with you, Bella, see what's coming up, not just in the bootcamp, but try and help more people to kind of overcome what they need to overcome.
Of course.
So let's dive right in. Where should we start?
I think somewhere I'd love to start is with a question I think a lot of people are asking. I think students often think the GAMSAT is just another exam, another step in the many milestones you have to reach for med school. But why do you think it's actually much bigger than that?
I mean, it's the person that you become on the way to getting in that determines the type of doctor you're going to be.
Yeah.
So to me, medicine, I mean, everyone's had a good experience with the doctor and a bad experience with the doctor. It's just like plumbers or electricians or any other profession in the world. Everyone's had a good taxi driver and a bad taxi driver, right? But what makes a good doctor is not just that they're smart. It's not just that they know medicine and can help you with whatever your, you know, aches and pains are.
Exactly.
But it is the type of person that is compassionate, that is resilient, that has consistency, someone that is a lifelong learner, you know, even now with like all the AI technology that's coming into medicine, like you still got to learn so much. And I think most people don't realize that that is a skill that the GAMSAT is teaching them, that they're going to need to not just have within medical school, but that's what's going to make them an amazing doctor. So if you can't be compassionate with yourself right now, with whatever you're going through, how are you going to be compassionate with someone else in their difficult time, right? So to me, it's not just another exam. It's who you become on the process. That's the most important thing.
Yeah. No, that's beautiful. And I think that's the thing. Hindsight's a beautiful thing. And when you're starting the GAMSAT, you're just like, oh, why do I have to do this? This is awful. But then you realize the skills that you build and you're like, this is just what I need for med school. And you think, you know, I just need the knowledge, but it's so much more than that. The discipline, the resilience, as you're saying, the compassion as well. No, that's absolutely amazing. And, you know, what do the students who eventually get into medicine tend to have in common, do you believe?
I mean, there's so many good ones. The first one's probably just around how they show up. So they're
Yeah.
not saying things like, oh, I don't feel motivated today. Like, no one's motivated every day. Okay. I certainly am not motivated every day. It's people that focus on the consistency of the habits rather than being perfect.
Yes.
It's people that don't see a blip or something going wrong as failure. They see it as feedback and something that they can adjust. So I think that there's, really this big thing with people that get in where they were always going to get in. They were destined to be doctors.
Yeah.
But it's how they're showing up in that process that helps them make that process. I'm not going to say easy because it's not easy for anyone, but it is a little bit more streamlined, right?
Yeah.
It's going to help them.
No, exactly. And I think it's that thing, you have to have the belief first that, in the motivation, the passion to want to do this, but then the endurance to keep going, even when there's nothing else in the world you'd rather, nothing else you'd rather be doing rather than the GAMSAT. You just think I could literally do anything else. I'd go back to high school and write all those HSC exams and whatever I needed to do. But
did I ever tell you the story of Tom? When he was studying for the GAMSAT, so it was many minutes ago, right?
Yeah.
And he was studying at Gordon Library, which I actually know is quite close to you. You might have visited Gordon Library.
It is wonderful there. It's
lovely, but they had like this old book section where it was like old, dusty, like World War II books that no one opened. And Tom, at the end of the day, would be like, oh, these books, they're like calling my soul. All I want to do is read them. They look so interesting. And and he's like, okay, well, his thing was like, after the GAMSAT, I can read any book that I want, and I will read any book that I want, but I need to focus right now. And legitimately, as soon as he stopped studying for the GAMSAT, never once did he step back in and actually want to do and read those books. It was just that anything was more exciting than what he was doing.
Exactly. Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like, anything could be more exciting, right?
So much more is more exciting. No, amazing.
I mean, that actually comes down to a big thing, though. And lots of people talk to me, and I'm sure the students are talking to you as well, around time management. Everyone's like, this big thing around time management being a problem. What do you see? Like, what do you hear from people?
Oh, I think it's the, where do you find the time? And especially when you're looking at it from, you need to you have this many amount of hours that you want to get done, or this amount of tasks you want to done. It's always, where do I find the time? I've got work, I've got study, I've got family, I've got, other general commitments. And it's that kind of overwhelm of, there's just too much. I'm not going to be able to squish it into my schedule. And I think that's a thing that a lot of people kind of look at, is they're not seeing the way to get it in. But at the end of the day, it's, if you want to do it, you make the time kind of thing. You will find the time that you want to fit in. And it's just about taking, moments to reflect and kind of navigate, and where do you want this time to be, or where can you actually spare those moments, or how do you even structure your study where you can fit it into these little slots between your day. And then again, it's priorities. What's most important to you at this point in time, and what comes first, and what sometimes has to come second. And it's not that like, oh, you have to give up your whole life for the GAMSAT, as much as it can feel that way, and we all have a bit of a whinge and we're like, oh, gotta let go of everything. But it's then having the motivation and having, I guess at the end of the day, the discipline to say, this is important. It needs my attention, and I just need to make it work. And it's as simple as, can you get up 30 minutes earlier, or can you, structure the way your night goes in a way that allows you to have that hour, or put a podcast in as you're cooking dinner, or, again, finding the times to cement your progress. You have the goals, it's time to achieve them, kind of thing. I think when you're looking at, when you're standing at your week and you're like, okay, I've got work and this and that, it's like, well, where does it fit? It doesn't fit. There's no free minute, but sometimes it's just taking the first step and just doing it.
Yeah, I often say that it's generally not time management that is the problem. It's really energy management. Because if I look at my nurses, for example, that are working full time, and I'm going to give an example after this about students, because students are a whole different kettle of fish. I it's like, okay, you wake up, your shift starts at, let's say, 8. So you're
Yeah.
out of bed at 6, you're out of the house at 7, you get to work at 8, you do like an 8-hour shift or whatever, you finish at 5, you get home at 6, you make dinner, you wash up, that's 7, 7:30, and then you start thinking about the GAMSAT. And that's like, what, 7:30 or 8 o'clock that you're starting?
Yeah.
But at that point, you're bloody exhausted. Like,
Yeah.
only thing you want to do is sit down and, like, I don't know, watch Netflix or something.
Yeah, exactly.
And so what we've got to do is actually put the thing that's most important in the hours that you are most workable with it, instead of just assuming that we shove everything to the end of the day. Because anyone that I know that works full time, you're always going to show up at work. You're always going to do the right thing at work. If your patients are there and they need you, you somehow find the energy, right?
Yes.
You always do. But when it's for you, then sometimes we put that on the back burner. And so what people are doing is they're prioritizing what appears important at the time, rather than what is actually the most important goal that they have.
Yeah.
And so I think the first step when we're looking at time management, and I don't like the word time management, I like the word energy management, but we need to go, what is the number one priority that you have? So if you are a nurse or any allied health, a physio, a nurse, ambo, like OT, whatever, pharmacist, replace the nurse with whatever your current job is. If that is not your long-term goal, there's nothing wrong with that. We're not saying quit your job, but we're going to go, what is your goal and what is more important, your current job or the job that you want? Now, for most people listening to this, the job they want is to be a doctor. Okay, so how do we prioritize that as the first thing we're putting in when you've got the most amount of energy? And then how do we look at filling the gap with your actual current work? And sometimes just having that mindset shift that your current work's priorities are not your work's priorities allows you to do things like implement my favorite rule of all time that I call the November rule, which is when people ask you things, you just say, sorry, it's November. The answer is no, November. Like, can you pick up this extra shift on the weekend? Sorry, no, I can't, because your priorities are set GAMSAT first, because that's getting you to your big goal, and then secondary is your work. But obviously you're not going to tell them that at work, like, but it's not about them, it's about you. So we've got to find when that energy is like best for everybody. And like, I'm hoping that some people are having an aha moment here around like, oh yeah, I am treating the GAMSAT like my side hoe, not my main person. Which no one here should be doing.
No.
Right?
And I think it's so hard to put yourself first. And it's not that, people think, oh, they don't want to share I don't want to be lazy, or I don't want to be termed as I don't care. Because at the end of the day, you do. But it's the selflessness that comes with working in certain professions, and even just wanting to be a doctor. You're already giving up most of your life to a career that's serving others, that you don't want to put yourself first. So you're kind of trapped in this cycle of, oh, I need to study for the GAMSAT, but I need to give to what I have now. And it's about being able to say, I want this. And it's totally okay to spend the time doing what I need to do.
Do you know what I actually, like, my personal belief is that it is more selfish not to put yourself first and to put other people first, because what that's actually doing is filling up your cup. You're going, because they approve of me, I'm good enough. And that's actually quite selfish. That's putting your, like, people approving of you like as the number one thing that you care about.
Exactly.
And to me, that's more selfish. Like,
I like that. Yeah.
So I think for some people that are feeling guilty that way, even having that reframe can be really helpful to go, no, I'm not being selfish by putting my dreams first. I'm actually helping more people. And the number one person that can help me, I'm not putting my life, I'm not making my life, or my happiness, I should say, in the control of others. I'm taking control of my happiness, and that is actually the most selfless thing you can do.
Yeah, exactly. You take accountability.
Really believe that. Now, I've
Yeah.
got to say, this is so random, but I have an AirPod in my ear because we had some techie issues. So anyone that's watching this and just watching me play with this AirPod, I'm just going to apologize right now because it was the only way that I could hear Bella talking. And I got a massive echo. So I'm just trying to make the tech work today. So anyone watching the video, thank you for being patient. Anyone not watching the video, don't worry about what the hell I just said.
Yeah. Disregard. But
so
no,
tell me, back on topic, tell me a little bit about getting distracted, because what are you finding some people might be doing with their study timetable when they get distracted, or like things come up? What are you finding happens?
Yeah, and I think, when you commit to sitting the GAMSAT and you have this end goal in mind, it's like everything else seems to creep in at this time and just be like, I need your attention now. And I think that's the big thing, responsibilities will come up and things will start to present themselves. And it's very hard to not divert your attention to that and say, oh, no, I need to do this, or, I need to get that done, or it's like, get it off my plate and then I can focus on the GAMSAT. So it's always adding a condition to everything. And look, I did it too. I remember doing it time and time again, thinking, no, I'll just get this done. Or it's like you're looking to have other things to do before you sit and do the GAMSAT. And again, it is also, you want to serve others and you have that guilt of, oh, I don't want to take my time away from them, or don't want to do that. Or it's that don't want to actually do the study. You don't want to, sometimes take that step because it's hard, it's scary, and fear of failure starts to step in that, am I moving fast enough? Am I progressing at the rate that I need to? And so you start to look for everything else to take away from having to take that step into the darkness, as they say. It's washing the car never becomes as important as it does when you're sitting the GAMSAT. I'm like, no, it's all right, Mum, I'm gonna go wash the car now. And she's like, oh, it's raining this week. I'm like, no, you gotta get it done. The weather's always wrong. I'll go wash the car. It's fine. Like, okay, and it's easier to kind of divert your attention because it does take away that fear. But the thing is, that fear is never going to leave you. It's quietened at the back of your mind for 5 seconds while you're scrubbing the shamming the back of the car, and then you go back inside and it hits you again, or you put your head on the pillow and you realize that you're just running away from something that you're never going to be able to escape. So, I think that's a big thing with distractions start to come into place, because it sometimes offers a reprieve. But it will only get better that once you start taking the steps, and once you start, acknowledging, how do I want to see my progress? And going back to energy management, what are the times of the day that I'm most effective and I can feel that kind of win of the day? There's nothing worse than coming home at 8 p.m. and trying to study and you're like, I just can't get it. It's not clicking. Then you go to bed feeling worse. But sometimes you get up with a fresh mind and you're able to see things from a whole different perspective, and you start the day on a win. And it just starts the snowball of that kind of positive effect of wanting to keep studying, keep up the momentum. Where like when you're at your low, distractions are so hard to deter from. Like seriously, when people say, oh, can you come help me move? I never want to help people move. But when I was on the GAMSAT, it was a great excuse. Oh, of course I can help you move. Get the van. I would love to.
I don't know what the study was. I wish I could dig it out. Maybe ChatGPT can help someone at the listeners. Actually, don't, because it's probably just distraction. Just believe what I'm saying. But the study showed that your kind of diligence and discipline wears out during the day.
Yes.
And so then if you want to be, that book, Eat That Frog, it's like do the hard thing first.
Okay, yeah.
I think that applies here, because if you're leaving the thing that you need to be most disciplined about to when you have the least energy at the end of the day, then like the excuses come up. Whereas if you go and eat that frog and just do it like first thing, wake up early, or whatever it is, you move your schedule, or you somehow fit it in when you got more energy, you're more likely to be disciplined about it.
Yeah.
But you know what I really find useful, and I'm not sure if you personally use this, but I'm sure that you've talked to the students about it, is sometimes just labeling the feeling that's coming up can really help you to identify what's going on. So it's like, instead of just having your head down going, oh yeah, I'm going to wash the car now, that's really important, actually just stopping and going, what am I avoiding here? Oh, okay, I really hate doing physics, and I've got like physics in my plan for today. Okay, what am I scared about with physics? Oh, well, I don't understand it. Okay, so sometimes just like acknowledging that, and then what I call self-coaching, which is asking yourself a set of questions to be able to get you to do what you need to do, and be like, okay, so what am I scared of? Getting a question wrong? Because I'm probably going to get questions wrong. Today, when I sit down and study, I'm going to get some questions wrong. However, if you think about it like you've got a child sitting on your shoulder and they get some questions wrong, are you going to scream at them about it? No, you're probably just going to go, well, you just haven't learnt that yet. So let's go back a step and learn what you need to learn to actually not find it as difficult and start to get these questions right. And so when you start self-coaching and you start speaking to yourself, and this is where that kind of kindness and compassion comes into it. When you can start to really be the doctor that you want to be, but to yourself in that moment, and say, it's okay that I don't have all the answers. I'm going to start and just do the first step anyway. And what I also find really helpful in these moments is making success or making a win just the first step. So like sometimes, so like, let me give you an example. I'm pretty heavily pregnant right now. I'm actually only 26 weeks, but I got a big belly. Okay. I am very lopsided, and I know I need to go walking every day. And for someone who was like moderately fit before, I am not fit now. Let's just say that. I've had some health issues through the pregnancy. But sometimes it's like, okay, I just need to get in the car and get down to the walking track. And that's a win, because everything in my body is sore right now. Not going for an hour walk being the success, but actually just getting out of, because I work from home. So like my office is at home, everything's at home. I can stay locked here and just work 24/7 if I really wanted to, which sometimes I like, do like a crazy woman. But like actually getting out. And then of course when I'm when I walked by the beach, there's like a little walking track thing there. So when I'm actually at the beach, of course I'm going to walk because I'm there, but it's not, oh, well, I did 57 minutes instead of 60. I'm a failure. It's like, no, I'm a success just because I took that first step. And then naturally you're there and you're in the environment and you do the work. So it's like, let's set up smaller expectations and start to hit those and be proud of them and talk about them.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's something that's so pivotal about the mindset that you approach the GAMSAT, and something I've been trying to echo and kind of represent as a study mentor, because it's been a bit of a learning curve, because you kind of realize you're seeing yourself in some of the students in the way. I was a perfectionist. Like I was like, no, it's not, like I'm getting things wrong, I'm not doing it, it's not moving. And then you're like, hey, it's okay. But you realize when I was in that mindset, that's exactly what I would say to myself. So it's going back to that, to be able to show others kindness, true kindness, you've got to also be able to do it to yourself. And in those moments, have that compassion, because if you can't show up for yourself, how can you really show up for those around you? And coming back to that thing about being selfless is not meaning that you just give everything to everyone else, but being at your best so you can give the best that you can to those around you. And, so I think something I love to talk about students is, what was a really good thing? How do you feel that your confidence in progress? Not did you get everything right, but did you learn something? So, with physics, I couldn't stand physics. The amount of times I tried to avoid that thing, just couldn't take it. But I ended up biting the bullet and doing it. And when I shifted away from how many I got wrong, or I didn't draw the diagram right, or I got it in the video and then when I did it by myself, it was completely wrong. Could I actually learn from that? Was there any kind of, I saw the switch, or, sometimes even just watching the video, it was like, I did it. Like, it's over. I can tick that off. I love like striking off my pins. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
I did it. I'm gonna go and have a win now. Like I'm gonna go and celebrate. So reshifting the way that you approach your goals, it doesn't have to be measured by standards of success. So of how many did you get right, or was it better than the last time you sat? Sometimes you're gonna get worse, but you learnt more. And it's always about what was the win for you. There's always a win in everything you do. So it's about reshifting the focus and searching for the wins rather than searching for the areas that you need to work on. So it's the same thing, like when people write essays, just write the essay. It doesn't matter what it's like. Just write it, and that's a win.
At the end of every either like tutoring session or live class that we do, I ask every single time the same question. Everybody knows it because I ask it all the time. And it's always, what was the most valuable thing from the session today? So if it was 5 minutes or 2 hours, I always ask that. And the thing that surprises me is it's never, as the teacher, as like the tutor or the person running the session, what I think is valuable is never the thing that people say. But I think even having that as a question at the end of every time you're studying, what was the most valuable thing I learned today, is actually training your brain to say, well, one, I know I'm going to learn something, and two, I know it's going to be valuable. And when you, and whether this is in GAMSAT or in life or as a med student or as a doctor, like whatever, having that as something you've trained your brain to look for actually is going to help what we call, it's called the RAS, the reticular activating system, to consolidate what you're learning and to make sure that the time that you've spent has actually been valuable. Because that's the other thing. There's study and then there's study. There's like study where you're faffing around and you got Netflix on in the background and you're texting your boyfriend and then you know, like all these things. And then you do that for 2 hours and it's actually been like 15 minutes of proper study. Or you sit down for half an hour and do a solid half an hour and you get it done, and then you actually relax the rest of the time, or an hour, or, you know, like change the time, whatever, but it's actually valuable.
Exactly. And I think it's even just reimagining or re-emphasizing the way that you spend your time. And, you know, it's something I always talk about, the drills. The drills are something that you don't have to be, and I don't know if Dr. Tom's going to like me saying this, but laser focused for. There is nothing wrong with doing it on your commute. And sometimes you get off the train like, I've just achieved that. Like, that felt amazing. Like, oh, I can tick that off. So something I used to do is I'm just going to, from, you know, by when I get on the train to when I get off, I want to have one thing ticked off. And sometimes it'd be reading a poem and breaking it down. It'd be making an essay plan. It'd be looking at the Bureau of Statistics tables and graphs because I just couldn't get my head around trends and analyzing graphs. So you know, re-emphasizing that might have been 15 minutes. Or, trains are a lot longer than that, I hope. But, you know, it might have just been 15 minutes of you doing something, but it's 15 minutes more than what you would have done. And I think sometimes you say, I'm going to study for 3 hours. The amount of times people will reach for their phone. Like, I watch my brother. I make sure I throw my phone out of the room. But I watch him. The amount of time he puts his hand on his phone, hand to his watch, I'm like, dude, take it out of the room. The amount of times I took it out of the room, he grabs his Lego. I'm like, stop, study downstairs. Get out of your bedroom because you're just touching everything that you shouldn't be touching right now.
Honestly, so I'm a big advocate for deleting the social media apps off your phone. Not that you should have no social media, just that it's such a habit to scroll. And like they spend billions of dollars trying to get you addicted to scrolling, right? So when I deleted Facebook, I deleted Instagram off of my phone, I would find myself picking up my phone and scrolling my photos because that was the only thing to scroll on the phone. I'm like, must have my daughter's name Ruby. I'm like, look at Ruby when she was a baby, you know. That's so addictive. So I'm with you. I like make a little bed. I love having like a little ritual. I actually talk about this in the bootcamp heaps when we're doing the mindset acceleration classes, because there's a whole mindset acceleration class about sleep, which is not mindset at all, but it is around doing the energy, having the energy to do the work. And so many people just have poor sleep habits and find sleep an issue, and we always deal with it first because let me go back one step. We run the acceleration classes usually 9 or 10 weeks before the GAMSAT, and a week or two before the GAMSAT, without a doubt, there will always be a student who comes to me and is like, I'm so anxious, I can't sleep at night. So we do it like 9 or 10 weeks before so we can set up good sleep habits. And then doing that consistently actually helps with the week before the GAMSAT where sleep is actually the problem because they're anxious. So anyway, one of my favorite things to do is to have a little bed that you put your phone into and you tuck it in and you're like, good night, you're done for this evening. You are no longer going to dictate what I do for the rest of the night. And you have a little ritual to say good night to it. You plug it in, right?
Tuck it in.
You have a crappy Kmart kind of style thing that's going to wake you up in the morning next to your bed, an alarm or something. Because honestly, not having it around changes the chemistry in your brain.
Oh yeah, it definitely does.
It definitely does. You. And no one wants to do it.
No. Oh, I remember being told to do that. I was back in the mindset classes and I was like, no, I don't. Do I need that? Does that apply to me? And sometimes you go to buy the book and be like, yes, it applies to everyone. You're not special.
Can you imagine? Okay, you go and see your GP. You pay the $1 billion it takes to have a long GP session, which no one ever does. Right, but let's pretend you have like half an hour with your GP, which no one ever does again, but let's pretend. Can you imagine if halfway through they picked up their phone?
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Like, what an experience. Like, no, I'm here. I've got a problem. I need you to help me. I'm paying you to pay attention to me. And you're picking up your goddamn phone? Like, that's not going to happen.
No, it's not. It's not.
So we've got to build the type of doctor we want to be now into our study habits. And I think that's a really, really important part. Anyway, I don't know if we're on track or we're off track, but what are you finding? Maybe we wrap up today's session just with what you're finding in the bootcamp at the moment as some of the big issues that are coming up from a mindset perspective, and maybe I can rattle off one or two ways of how to fix that to help the people at home.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things I'm finding is motivation. A lot of people are saying, I just don't have the motivation to study, or I just feel like I'm not moving fast enough, I'm not progressing, so then it just takes away any kind of desire to want to put the work in. So I think that's probably one of the biggest things that I'm seeing right now in the book.
That's two things. So let me address them separately. You know how I just said, actually identifying what is the thing, it actually is 90% of the work, and it usually fixes. So the first one is people saying that motivation, they're not motivated. And then the second one was, what was it? That they're
progress, not when they're progressing fast enough.
Progressing fast.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's deal with the progression first. Okay. So the first thing is we are setting expectations for ourselves that are usually arbitrary expectations.
Yeah.
And we got to reassess, what is progress? What does progress look like? And are we expecting it? I'm sure it does the rounds on social media every couple of years where there's this graph where it's like, what I expect is going to happen. And it's just this like straight line up. And then what actually happens is like, it's down, it's up, it plateaus, it does like a little circle and all that kind of stuff. And you're gesturing that with your hands as you're talking to me. You know it as I say it. But the reality is that we still have these expectations, even though we know the reality.
Yes.
And so what we've got to do is label where we're at as we're progressing. So do I have a to-do list that I didn't get through this week? Okay. What are we going to do about that? Like, is that the progress? Is it ticking things off the list that is progress? Or is it learning something properly, even though I only scheduled an hour for it and it took 3 hours, but I learned it properly in those 3 hours, and I can actually do the questions now. Is that progress? Because I can tell you right now, I would prefer that you spent the 3 hours, even though you only scheduled 1 hour.
Yeah.
and we find the other 2 hours to do the other bits of the to-do list, or we rejig the rest of the to-do list, but you're actually making real progress. So it's how we're assessing it.
Exactly.
And then it's also the expectations. I would love if every single one of my students only sat the GAMSAT once and that was their life. And they just breezed into medical school and it's great. And look, that happens to a lot of students. Does it happen to every student? No. Unfortunately not. And the way we've got to see it is that we are building a bridge right now. You are on one side, like one cliff. We want to get to the other cliff. Now, depending on where you are, you might have half a bridge built. Amazing. You join a program, something like the Bootcamp or whatever, self-study or a different program, whatever. And all you got to do is build half a bridge because it's already halfway done.
Yeah.
Sometimes people come to us and they've got this like rickety old bridge with like things falling off with like ropes as handles. And not only do we need to build the bridge, we also got to knock the old bridge down. That takes longer.
Yeah.
And by the time we get to whatever GAMSAT they're sitting, whether it's this September or next March or whatever, we might not be there yet. But that doesn't mean we haven't made progress.
Exactly.
That just means that we're not there yet.
Yes.
And it's like the same thing in medicine. You know, someone might come to you with cancer and it's like, cool, we're going to do radiation. And then they do radiation. They're like, actually, I think we also need chemo. Doesn't mean that the cancer's not going. It just means we're not there yet.
Yeah.
And understanding that that might be a longer journey for some than others is okay.
It is.
You got the rest of your bloody life to do this. It's going to take as long as it takes. Now, I say that knowing that I had lunch a couple of weeks ago with the literally oldest ever medical student, I believe, in history, which is 72 years old. And I'm like, if we can help her get in and she's not in a rush, then if you're in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, or your 60s right now, what are you rushing for? Right? So that's the first thing, progress.
Yeah.
The second thing is motivation. I hear you when you say that, like, people say all the time, oh, I'm just not motivated.
Yeah.
And I think what people think is motivation, like people think that motivation is going to push them through to the end of the race. And it never is. What motivation is like when you're building a fire and there's one spark of ignition.
Yeah.
That's the moment that you need motivation. That's what we expect motivation as. Yeah. Then what we got to transition to when the fire is actually burning, that's discipline. And so motivation is never going to last. You are never going to feel as motivated as you are probably right now. You might be at the peak of your motivation listening to this podcast, right?
Yeah.
But this is where you then need to transition into something that's going to help you be more diligent.
Yes.
And be more disciplined. And this is why we have your job in the bootcamp as a study mentor, because I know I've been running this company with Tom for 19 years. I know we have the best materials on the planet, but if you don't do them, they don't work.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so that's why the study mentors are around, to help people be more disciplined, be more diligent. And for most people, that really just takes accountability. Sometimes it's a kick in the ass when you need it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, you didn't do your homework. All right, what's the consequence to this now? And like, real speak, I mean, because you've been in the boot camp.
I have.
Were you motivated every second of the day?
No, not at all.
I mean, you still got an 82 in section 2, which is quite notable. So what do you think got you through?
I think it was at the end of the day, it's what do you want in life? And it's the habits that you're working towards. And even when that dream of, oh, I'm going to wear my white coat, my stethoscope doesn't get you there, it's the habit that, you know, I have this and it's my commitment and I've got to show up. And you're never going to do it with a face full of smiles and, like coming along and like, oh, I love doing this. It's like that I'm dragging my feet to get here. But it's at the end of the day, that if you can show up for your habits, if you can show up for your commitments, then you can put your head on that pillow knowing that what you said, you can rely on yourself if you know what I mean. And at the end of the day, that means so much more, and it makes all those little wins. So getting the mark in section 3 made it so much richer, because all those hard times where you just didn't feel like doing it, it got you there. So it's even just having those habits. And I think that's what I love being a study mentor, is it's not the, I'm going to crack the whip and be like, come on, more. It's like, did you get what you wanted to get done? The habit you said you'd make, did you get there? And if we didn't, let's rephrase it. What can we do to get there? Or what's standing in our way? I think one of my favorite questions that Tom taught me was, what's stopping you from getting it done? What's actually stopping? Because sometimes you're like, me, I've got to get out of my own way. It's the horrible realization.
Always
you're like,
me.
Yeah. Because you're like, oh, my brother, or oh, work. You're like, but at the end of the day, what really is? It's me. And coming back to just having that, having that goal, having that dream, and just the fire is not going to be burning at 100% all the time. But what stokes the fire? Sometimes, I remember making like a vision board. And I think we did that in mindset class sometimes. It was like what you would visualize yourself to look like. What color would your scrubs be? What university do you see yourself going to? What do you imagine you do for your patients? It's even just taking 5 minutes to reimagine that and to kind of manifest it and believe it and go, well, this is the step. Right now I have to do this to get there. And even just watching, I've seen so many students explore their own discipline in many ways. I've got a PhD student, like, that's just incredible. And, she says my Outlook calendar, and with the study reminder 15 minutes before, it's like a little tidbit, like a little quote or a little memory or a little anecdote that they're like, so that before they even start the study, they've got that high of like, well, you're so many days away from the GAMSAT, and that means you're so many days closer to becoming a doctor. Or I remember when I was 6 years old, I had my first play kit of, and now I'm 10 years closer to being there than, well, hopefully no one's 16 doing this, but, I'm so many years closer to that than what I was. So even just, that's just something I loved hearing about, and that adding that bit of discipline is sometimes just having that boost. But you're never really going to be motivated to do it all the time. And that's why, we have the accountability, we have the network, when you're not alone. And even just realizing you're not alone and feeling a lack of motivation. We're all there too. And it's, nothing shameful about it. You haven't done anything wrong. Sometimes it's okay to name it and be like, I just don't want to do this, but I'm going to. There's a quiet strength in that.
100%. I don't want to do this, but I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
I don't feel like cooking dinner all the time and making it. Like, I just don't.
No.
I'd love to go and get takeout, but I'm not.
No.
I have like an 8-year-old who I need to feed, and I need to teach her healthy habits. Like, that's the thing, is it's really the priorities.
Exactly.
So I think if I could really just leave everybody listening today with like 1 or 2 messages about preparing for the GAMSAT, about getting over these blockages, I kind of just feel like, firstly, success isn't built in just like one perfect week and doing things perfectly once. It is built in the imperfect daily actions that we take, and acknowledging the strength from within when we take them.
Yeah.
Like, really, just thinking, every time I'm sitting down to study, I am actually becoming the kind of person that's going to thrive in medicine.
Yeah.
I am, and I'm so proud of you as well, Bella, because I know that you overcome all of these things, and I feel like you're like, and now you're going on your medicine journey, because you're starting in what, like 2 months now? You're starting at, what uni are you going to?
St. George's in the UK.
St. George's in the UK, which is exciting. Which, I mean, that comes with its own challenges. You're moving from Australia, you're going to the UK. So all of these things you're going to be bringing into your studies when you're in medicine, which I'm excited for with you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's all transferable. None of it stopped at the GAMSAT. If anything, you get over the GAMSAT and you're like, oh, there's so much more to do. But you have this kind of like, well, I did this, I can do it again. That discipline's still, I still do PIMS just for myself, just what I want to get done in the week. I still write.
You have to explain what PIMS are.
Okay, PIMS post Mondays. So basically, what do you want to achieve in your week? What are the goals that you want to get done over the course of the week? So on a Monday, you're going to write down, and you make sure you got to write it down. You're 60% more likely to achieve it if you write it down. I've never forgotten that, Marie. And you write down what you want to achieve, and it kind of sets the intention for the week. If each you have a goal for section 1 to read the e-class for nonfiction, section 2 to watch a workshop, and section 3 to start physics, as much as we hate physics. You're putting onto paper what you want to achieve, and it's that kind of reminder of what you're doing, where you're moving, and what you're working towards. So I still do that now, even though I'm not even a med student yet.
Well, all of our students do. So the reason why we know it is when you were a student, that's what we make every single one of our students do. But obviously your PIMs right now are not GAMSAT focused. They're life focused and they're focused on other things. But if you know what you want to do, like this is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about becoming the person you want to be. That's what medicine is.
It is.
So this has been really fun. We are actually going to record something very soon on section 2, which I'm also excited about. But I'm hoping in that next one that I'm interviewing you and you can give away all your secrets. If anyone is interested in having a little bit more mindset support, or if you're feeling like there's blockages, of course, I welcome you to book in a time to speak with the team to see if the bootcamp's right for you. And if not, just keep on listening to the podcast. That's cool too, because we've got lots of things coming up. Was there any nuggets of gold that you wanted to kind of share before we kind of wrap up today, Bella?
I think it's realizing that a journey is a journey. It's not going to be perfect. And just by taking the first step of saying, I'm going to sit the GAMSAT, you're already so much closer than what you would have been by standing still. So just take the journey as it comes and just keep moving. I love that kind of anecdote of you're going to achieve it. You just don't know when. So you know that you will be a doctor one day. You don't know when that will be. You don't know what year you're starting med school yet, but you are going to get there. So just keep moving, whatever way that needs to be. Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing. Everybody at home, please send Bella all well wishes because she's going to first year med. It's exciting. I'm excited anyway, even if you're probably terrified, half excited.
Oh, yes.
I imagine.
Very much so.
And we will see everyone next week for the next installment of Nurses Doing GAMSAT. Bye for now. Hey, I have a cool gift for you, just for listening to the Nurses Doing GAMSAT podcast. We do some of our best work in our Facebook group called, you guessed it, Nurses Doing GAMSAT. It's free to join, and every day we're sharing actionable guides, tips and tricks, and really just how to smash the exam and get into medicine. You can join today by searching Nurses Doing GAMSAT on Facebook. Thanks for listening to another episode, and I'll see you next time.